Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. What is Bitcoin going to do across different time frames? This is a 4-hour chart. I've been posting this on X almost like non-stop. But if you look at my timeline here, I've just been posting about the 4-hour chart non-stop, and price basically has been following my 4-hour chart pretty precisely over time. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that. I really start following the 4-hour chart, and the way that I drew it is not really because I'm like changing or anything like that. All I really did was I picked a low point here back in October 10th, and it's very, very simple. I mean, I just basically used a magnet. I tracked it. I used the number 180, and I changed the ratio to 100, and these are predetermined set of numbers that you get to use for again square, and I just put in all those, and this just pops up, right? So what you're seeing here is getting rejected, getting support, rejected, support, rejected, and then you're trying to push up higher, but the trend was exhausting here, so you end up breaking underneath the angle over here, and up just kind of falling along the arc down here until found the 45-degree angle. So we push price up higher at the convergence of the angle and the arc and the horizontal. Push above, did a double bottom, ran up a lot higher, went push through one arc, went to another, and right now you got rejected here in the arc, flow along the arc here, and I was following the entire thing. Actually, I was basically just making calls, and some of the trajectory paths are a little bit off, but basically it's been kind of following what I said I was going to do. Follow the arc here, trying to push above, got exhausted, came back down, angle couldn't hold, right? Where did it go? End up going back to the horizontal here. The horizontal did hold. This is basically a back test of breakout of this horizontal zone. That's exactly what it's doing. If you're trying to add some additional confluence in terms of what things are doing, you can open up the Subscription Cloud. You can see that the Subscription Cloud has also been more or less very, very much respected, right? So if it wasn't going to be able to hold here, I said that it was probably going to go down here to like 67,500. But it ended up holding. So where it's going to happen, I think it's probably going to end up challenging the arc over here next, and it's probably going to end up needing maybe the Subscription Cloud to kind of help push price higher, and it's probably going to end up going back to this confluent zone between the horizontal and the 45-degree angle. So I think it's going to challenge 72,800 probably in a few days. That's what I'm thinking based on this chart. Now, you can also have an alternative scenario, and this scenario has been kind of, popularized by Credible Crypto, which is a big account on X. It's like 500,000 followers. Basically just saying, oh yeah, it's going to touch this all-time high. It's going to end up going down a lot lower to like 58,000. I can see that path. You end up getting rejected here. The arc, follow the arc down, form our lower high, and form our lower low, and then just end up going down. Right? I can totally see that. But so far, it's been forming mostly higher highs and higher lows. Like there's nothing for me to really think that it's going to go down like that. And even if I look at a weekly chart like that, there's nothing for me to really like think that that's the case. So I'm going to go to the weekly here. And I believe that this chart here, now this is drawn on the daily. I'm just going to go ahead and delete off this chart here. On the weekly, I really don't have any reason to be bearish anymore, because it already came back down and back tested a lot of things that it needed a back test, and it bounced, right? Including an Ichimoku, including the Tenkan Nikijin of the Ichimoku cloud, and you also had a bullish cross. Like everything just looked very nice. You had the resistance here flip into support, and it just looks like it wants to bounce a lot higher. It simply just got rejected here at a resistance zone, and I think that might be temporary. And if you look at the Subscription, same thing, right? Resistance flip into support, initially got underneath of it a little bit, back tested, reclaimed, and went up higher. You also have reclaimed the boomerang support band from resistance over here to support, kind of like how you did over here from resistance over here to support. Very similar morphology between this fractal here and this fractal here, with price dip underneath for like a few months, and then it just ended up reclaiming it as the boomerang support band turned from negative sloping to positive sloping, reclaimed it, go higher. Most likely we're going to end up following this trajectory, going up higher. So a lot of things are really telling me that. Again, the other thing, so I'm going to open up all these different kinds of indicators here. during the exhaustion, it broke down individually off of this indicator, right? And as they broke down individually, they back tested it and was, not able to break through back above and just kind of went under, right? But at a certain point, you have a convergence of these lines over here, initial support, now it's flipping to resistance, but you're still able to you really use this cloud balance to break above, back test this, and going higher. I think there's going to be a lot of bullish continuation just because this is a very strong, very strong support zone, and you bounce from it. Man, I think it's going a lot higher. Like, there's really not much else to really say about it, So on the weekly, I think it's also, extremely bullish. On the monthly, I also think it's extremely bullish because the Tenkan is going up and it's pushing it as support, kind of like it did over here, pushing as support. So I think we might be just at the beginning of something here, kind of very similar over here, where Tenkan is just kind of going up and pushing as support, maybe allowing price to go up a lot higher now. Initially, the Tenkan was a little bit way too far here. We need to wait for sideways for about 7 or 8 months before price can even push up higher from here on out. But so far, it looks very much of a bull trend. Looks like we're going to have some bullish continuation moving forward. And on top of that, I'm going to do the Gann chart here. I'm going to use the bit stamp here. This has a little bit more history, and basically, if I draw the Gann here on the monthly, you can see how these arcs have served for each of these cycles as very strong resistance, right? Cycle number 1, you can argue it goes from here 1 to 2, but this whole thing is probably just one cycle. Rejected, came back, got close to back testing the arc, didn't quite get there, pushed through the arc, back tested the arc, went into the next arc, got rejected, trying to push through again, got rejected again, back tested the bottom, passed, and then it just went up all the way to the next arc over here, got rejected, and so on and so forth, building up enough energy, come back here, push through, and it's just been riding along the arc over here for about 6 months and 7 months, right? And it looks like we're getting ready to lift off here. It looks like over here we wrote the Gann arc down, but eventually we lifted off, right? Like over here. I think it's very similar to over there. Over here, we got out of the arc over here, and it just kind of lifted off. This one, they didn't really backtest the arc that much, just that one little wick down here backtested it. But there's a lot of very similar morphology. It tells me maybe we have, a lot of bigger things that are coming over the next 12 months or so. I don't know which target is going to hit. It's going to hit this target here around like 200,000, or is going to hit like this target up here around like 600, 700,000. I think that's a little bit insane. I think that could probably end up taking years to do. I think what ends up happening is probably hit here, gets rejected, came back down, back test whatever you need to back test, and then maybe over a few years after that, maybe hit the arc up here around 500,000, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at. But this is the price action that I'm seeing what Bitcoin is doing. I think it's getting ready to go up higher, and I think that these things do go through cycles. November of 2024 may be very similar to November of 2020, where you have initial tick off over here. You might end up having a little bit of a big candle over here for Bitcoin, either November or December. I don't know. I did not know for sure, but I like the way that looks right now. It just looks very healthy, right? So I do want to just, keep this in your mind here, that I think that Bitcoin is looking more bullish. And you also have this kind of 1-2 tap, 1-2 tap for each cycle, 1 and 2 tap. This cycle, I think it's after the 2 tap, generally have a little bit of a resistance breaking through, and yeah, I mean, I think we're at a very much of a similar conjecture as opposed to like here, as opposed to here, and we're here. I think we're probably end up going up a lot higher. We'll see when it hits 200,000. If it does, I think a lot of the high risk assets going to go up like crazy. Right. Anyway, I just want to share my thoughts in terms of what I think about Bitcoin. I think it's bullish. I don't necessarily buy into the notion that it's to go down that much further to backtest some stuff down below. There's always a chance, but I think that's a low probability. To me, I think like 80% we're going up from here, and then maybe like 15 to 20% we're going down and back test some of the stuff down below, which again, entirely possible, but not necessary. So thank you so much for listening to this 10-minute video about Bitcoin price action and my thoughts. Take care. Bye.